dessin, ou même nous pourrions la blanchir, d'accord, et ainsi bon marché. So there's a very different picture of the statue we see today than was written in the sort of mid-19th century. The Royal Square had become a very disreputable place. You have to imagine no trees, you have to imagine prostitution down that end under the arches of the Corn Market, not to mention any disreputable goings on in the States, of course. And poor George II there was left without any attention or anything. So our poet, John Locke, suggested that he might be better off as a scarecrow, sold off to a farmer, or perhaps just whitewashed. The other problem was the pedestal was used for bill posting. Because of course we had the courts and the states, it was an obvious place for newspaper offices to be round here. And what would happen is the newspapers would rush out with their printed headlines and they'd fly post the latest headlines on the pedestal. And fights would break out between the rival newspaper fly posters as to who would get their headlines on the top. Eventually in the 1870s, the magistrate ordered that fly posting be stopped after a stabbing incident between two newspaper employees here. In 1910, George II finally got a good restoration, and the recent restoration makes the poem even less appropriate because he's certainly looking much better than he was, but certainly we can remember the whole history of the statue and part of people's literary reactions to it. Our poem is posted up over there on the railings, so if you want to see an English translation and a bit more information you can. The poems and the accompanying explanations are also available to download. Look at the website. Merci Manivet, à bientôt. Next we're on to French Lane and the anti-French riots of 1900.
Before you go, Geraint, why have we got a statue of Julius Caesar pretending to be George II?
It's not Julius Caesar pretending to be George II, it's George II pretending to be Julius Caesar. There are two statues of George II in London, both have him dressed as a Roman emperor. The statue of James II in Trafalgar Square also has him dressed in Roman garb. It tended to be the fashion for the kings at the time to associate themselves with a powerful empire and therefore to show the timelessness of royal power.
You don't subscribe to the view then, Geraint, that the statue was bought second-hand by a Jersey merchant in 1760 something or other, and it happened to be Julius Caesar, but they made him look like George II. You don't subscribe to that particular story?
No, because the statue is certainly by John Cheer. We have an engraving of John Cheer's sculpture yard done by Hogarth, which actually shows this statue in John Cheer's sculpture yard being packed off for shipment to Jersey. It's very well documented, and anyway, it's definitely somebody who's a member of the Order of the Garter because he's got his garter on there. This is actually the best surviving statue of George II, partly because of the neglect. The two statues in London, one is in stone at Greenwich, the other like this is a lead statue, that's in Golden Square, Soho. That one unfortunately has been scrubbed clean regularly, so it's lost all its detailing. Our George II, having been neglected for so long, has actually kept all the fine detailing and is actually a very fine example of John Cheer's sculpture and of George II.
Was he here on the Great Jersey Liberation Day on September the 28th in 1769? Was he overseeing the proceedings?
He was placed here in great pomp in 1751. So he's been here ever since, except for the two occasions where he's been sent away for restoration.
So he's contemporary with the coat of arms, which is over the State's door over there.
But the statue is not the pedestal. The pedestal is 19th century, probably 1819. Now in Algeria this is known as La Pyramide, the pyramid, because from 1751 it was placed on a series of steps, like a stepped pyramid, and with a balustrade round at the top and the statue in there. So for a good 50 years or so he was standing on his pyramid on his steps before being placed on this pedestal, so the pedestal is much younger than the statue.
Is the benchmark down there, is that still relevant?
This point here is the centre of the island from which all distances are measured.
Right.
So George II is not only an important figure in Jersey history, an important figure in literature, and we have more than one poem about him, but also if you want to find your way around, you're actually navigating yourself by Old George here.
Thank you.